Hey guys, this is part number 5 for the mysteries of the Rh negative bloodline. This is going to be file 5. I know I got a different look. Crazy, right? Shape-shifting. File 5 is Mary Magdalene and the Divine Feminine. The woman history almost forgot. What if one of the greatest mysteries in Christianity isn't about what was written, but what was left out? Today we're opening file 5, Mary Magdalene. For nearly 2,000 years, she's been one of the most misunderstood women in history. Some call her a sinner, others called her a prostitute. Others believed she was one of Yeshua's closest followers. Some traditions even describe her as the apostle to the apostles. So who was Mary Magdalene? And why has her story become so important in spiritual communities, including many discussions surrounding the Rh negative blood? Let's investigate. First off, who was Mary Magdalene? Most people grew up only hearing parts of her story. Mary Magdalene wasn't just another follower. She was present during some of the most important moments in Yeshua's life. She stood near the cross. She witnessed the burial. And according to the Gospels, she was the first person to witness the resurrection. Think about that. If this account is taken literally, the very first person entrusted with announcing the resurrection wasn't one of the 12 apostles. It was Mary Magdalene. That alone makes her one of the most significant figures in early Christianity. The lost writings. Now, here's where the mystery deepens. Centuries after the New Testament was written, ancient texts were discovered in Egypt near a place called Nag Hammadi. Among them were writings such as the Gospel of Mary, the Gospel of Philip, and other Gnostic texts. These writings portray Mary Magdalene very differently. Not simply a devoted follower, but as someone who receives profound spiritual teachings. A woman who understands mysteries that even the male disciples struggle to grasp. In some passages, Peter questions why Yeshua would reveal hidden teachings to Mary. That disagreement has inspired centuries of discussion. Was it reflecting a historical disagreement in the early church, a symbolic lesson about wisdom, or something else entirely? Scholars continue to debate that these texts, what they tell us about the diversity of early Christian beliefs. Scholars continue to debate these texts and what they tell us about the diversity of early Christian beliefs. The Divine Feminine. Now let's step into the spiritual perspective. Oh, I love this part. Across many ancient traditions, balance was essential. Masculine, feminine, the sun and the moon, heaven and earth. Creation wasn't viewed as complete through only one expression. Some modern spiritual seekers see Mary Magdalene as a symbol of the divine feminine. Not because every tradition teaches that, but because they view her story as representing like intuition, compassion, wisdom, and spiritual insight, rather than seeing her as like a secondary. They see her as a reminder that spiritual wisdom has never belonged to one gender alone. The Rh negative connection. So how did Mary Magdalene become connected to the Rh negative blood theories? The answer isn't found in biblical texts. Neither the New Testament nor Gnostic writings mention Rh factor. Instead, the connection emerged much later through modern spiritual theories. Some writers propose that Mary Magdalene presented a sacred bloodline. Others suggested that stories about holy lineages symbolized the passing of spiritual wisdom rather than genetics. Some communities then linked those ideas to Rh negative blood because it was already viewed as rare and mysterious. These interpretations belong to modern spiritual traditions. They are not claims made by ancient writings themselves. Bloodline or light line? What if we've been asking the wrong question all along? What if bloodline was never about biology throughout history? Teachers have passed wisdom from generation to another, not through DNA, but through compassion, understanding, courage, truth. Maybe the real inheritance isn't carried in our blood. Maybe it's carried in our choices. Every time someone chooses forgiveness over revenge, love over fear, truth over comfort, that wisdom continues. Perhaps that's the deepest meaning behind the idea of a sacred lineage. Not that certain people are born above others, but that every person has an opportunity to embody higher values. So I'll leave you with this for the closing reflection. When you think about Mary Magdalene, do you see a forgotten historical figure, a devoted disciple, a spiritual teacher, a symbol of divine feminine, or someone whose story reminds us that history is often more complex than we imagine? Maybe the greatest mystery isn't whether she belongs to a special bloodline. Maybe it's how one woman's story has continued to inspire questions, faith, art, and spiritual exploration for nearly 2,000 years. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm here to invite you to explore the mystery, because every answer begins with a question. I'll see you in the next files, guys. Love y'all.